The S&P 500 is arguably the world's most popular stock index, and for good reason. Data shows it's incredibly hard for professional fund managers to consistently outperform this collection of 500 of the largest companies listed in the United States. Does that make the S&P 500 the right investment for every person at every time? Of course not. But I do think its performance is compelling enough that if you choose another stock-based investment for your portfolio, you better have a good reason. And while there are plenty of good reasons for investing outside the S&P 500, in this video, we'll dispel 3 myths that are not. Let's get started with myth number 1. The S&P 500 isn't diversified. It only covers the United States. Now, while it's true that all stocks in the S&P 500 are listed in the United States, that doesn't mean it's only invested in the United States. 30% of revenues in S&P 500 companies actually come from outside the US, which makes sense if you think about it. If you travel abroad, you're not surprised to see iPhones, Visa credit cards, or Diet Cokes. And that's because S&P 500 companies are tapping demand all around the globe, not just in the US. Next, myth number 2. S&P 500 stocks are already large. They don't have more room for big growth. When it comes to the size of companies within the S&P 500, the term large is relative. Sure, all S&P 500 stocks are technically large cap stocks, but the difference between the largest and smallest companies within the index is staggering. Take a look for yourself. For reference, we'll say the size of this blue rectangle is the size of Apple, a $2.4 trillion market cap company and the largest stock in the S&P 500. So if this rectangle is the size of Apple, then how big is the S&P 500's smallest company, Lumen Technologies, which only has a market cap of $4 billion? That would be the size of this dot on the I in trillion. As you can see, large cap stocks in the S&P 500 still have plenty of room to grow before they become as big as the world's most successful companies. And by the way, when Apple joined the S&P 500 index back in 1982, it was even smaller than that dot on the I in trillion. It's grown over 1,000 times in size while inside the S&P 500. Finally, myth number 3. The S&P 500 is just passive. It's simply the 500 largest companies in the US. This just isn't true. The S&P 500 is, dare I say, almost an active index, not passive. That's because there's an index committee at Standard & Poor's that decides which companies join the index and when. And they don't just look at company size. They have certain rules for factors like profitability and liquidity. And beyond that, they apply significant judgment when considering how circumstances like mergers and acquisitions and market cycles should influence which companies enter and exit the index. Stepping back, these are just 3 common misconceptions about the S&P 500, but hopefully looking past them can help you see how dynamic the index really is and why it's so hard for fund managers to beat. And like I said at the top, there are plenty of stocks and indexes beyond the S&P 500 that may be a better choice for you at any given time. But whenever that's the case, just make sure the reason for your choice is a good reason and not a myth. And with that, thanks for watching, and consider subscribing for more content like this about investing, retirement, and all things personal finance. See you in the next video.